You're watching 5 Star Live, presented by East Tennessee Spine and Sport. To see live on location from the biggest game of the week. Live interviews from coaches and players, along with highlights, predictions, and up-to-date information about this week's biggest games. Your hosts, Jesse Smithy and Kevin Smith, with decades of experience covering and coaching high school sports, along with a 5-star preps team, will break down region outlooks and what's to come for your favorite prep football teams and top players. Now, get ready for the most comprehensive high school football coverage in Tennessee on 5 Star Live.
Are you ready for some football?
We're ready for some football, baby.
Welcome into 5 Star Live, presented by East Tennessee Spine and Sport. We are in week 8 of the high school football season. We are at historic Blankenship Field in Oak Ridge for the second time this year. We were here a couple of weeks ago for their battle against Clinton. Now they have a huge non-region matchup tonight against Greenville. And I welcome in Kevin Smith, my co-host for quite some time. Kevin, Greenville, Oak Ridge, what do you think about when you think about those two high school football teams?
Two great programs, championship programs, teams that have a lot of trophies in the trophy case, a lot of gold balls, a lot of rings on their fingers. And what a great place here at Blankenship Field. I've been fortunate enough, Jesse, over the years to play in a lot of places, a lot of different classifications. It's one of my favorite places to come to. I wish I had coached in this stadium before, because the electricity here from the fans is phenomenal. It's a great high school venue in the state of Tennessee.
The reason I ask you about those two teams and what you think of them is that this will only be the 5th meeting all time between Oak Ridge and Greenville. You feel like with those two programs, the water that those names carry, you think they'd get together more often. And I think this is Greenville's only second trip here. 1991 was the last time that Greenville played in Oak Ridge, from what we've been told in the preseason. Hopefully a good game happens tonight and everybody's left saying, we got to do this again.
Well, and I love these matchups. We talked about it all year this year. This has been a really good year of coaches and administrations getting together and saying, hey, it doesn't matter if we're 5A, 4A, 6A, we're playing each other. We need to get ourselves ready for the playoffs and put these matchups on. It's fantastic.
Yeah, for Greenville, they play in a region other than Elizabethton. They pretty much do what they want in that region, so it's paramount for them to go against the Dobbins-Bennett's of the world, the Oak Ridge's of the world, to get in that championship mindset, because it's just right around the corner.
Yeah, and they've done a great job, and you've already mentioned a couple teams they played this year, including Central, another 5A football team. Coach Eddie knows he's got to get his team ready for the playoffs. He knows he's going to see the Anderson counties, Elizabethton's down the road. He needs to get this team prepared and ready, and he's doing that.
Eddie Spradlin, the head football coach at Greenville, has Oak Ridge ties. We have an interview with him that we're going to air during the second segment tonight. Stick around for that. He talks about all the history he has with this city. So kind of a second kind of homecoming, or a homecoming of sorts for Eddie Spradlin. Let's get to tonight's game, though, Kevin. Oak Ridge 3-3, been a hard team to figure out. They had a lot of injuries to key personnel, and that started early on in the season.
That is so hard as a coaching staff and as a team. When you're coming in, you've had all the spring workouts, you've had summer workouts, you're in training camp, you're getting ready, and all of a sudden, man, the injury bug hits. This team really hasn't had a chance to really be together as a full 11 or 21 player unit on offense and defense. We've said this for a couple weeks now, Jesse. We said it even last week. Athlete for athlete, this is one of the better teams athletically and speed-wise in East Tennessee and maybe the state of Tennessee. They can match up with a lot of teams, and they're physical up front. The question is, who's playing tonight? Who's going to be out there? And you hope more and more guys can come back so they can gel. And it could be something where, hey, now we're getting ready just in time for the playoffs, because we're talking about long game, not short game.
Man, we showed up for that Clinton game, and we're just kind of shooting the breeze with Coach Cummings, the head football coach at Oak Ridge, who's in his first year, and he's like, that guy's a starter, he's not playing tonight. That guy over there, he's a starter, he's not playing tonight. And it was like 5 or 6 guys that he rattled off that, early in the year, they were really counting on being a pivotal part of them getting to a playoff appearance and maybe a deep run, and they're over there in street clothes.
Well, we talk a lot early in the year about the improvement of teams from week 1 to week 2. We got guys who haven't played now. We're in week 7. They need a couple games action, too. They need meaningful game reps. And so you're seeing some of these guys get back in there. They're out of shape. still trying to get back in shape, still trying to get their groove. I think we're going to see a better Oak Ridge team here down the stretch, especially when these guys get healthy.
You mentioned what players will be playing tonight. Elijah Rogers, a senior wide receiver, defensive back, probably going to be a defensive back in college from what he tells me. Right now committed to Campbell University, but early in his career he had South Carolina, Georgia Tech, Wake Forest all on him. He intercepts 3 passes in the first week, but also sustains a shoulder blade injury, or excuse me, collarbone, breaks his collarbone, and he hasn't played since. He told me a month or so ago he was hoping to be back by Carnes. That's who Oak Ridge plays next week. We're going to kind of monitor the situation in pregame tonight and see if he plays. I'd like to see him, but again, this is a non-region game. How do you handle that as a coach?
Absolutely. I mean, really, man, it's so hard because the kids want to play, right? Especially a senior year.
Right.
But yeah, and we talked about this last week with hamstrings and collarbones. You got to make sure you don't come back too early. And guys re-injure themselves. It's not about the short game right now. They got to worry about getting in the playoffs and making that long run like they did last year. They got to win the region games. This is one of those situations that if he's not fully healthy, 100%, you hold him out and you tell him, hey, we're looking out for your welfare. We know you want to play, but we got to look out for you and keep you out of this ball game.
Conversely, Greenville's kind of going through the same situation with senior Ajate Dabbs, a guy who has 10 to 15 FBS offers. I mean, this guy is a legit wide receiver, defensive back prospect. He's been a little dinged up. We saw him kind of go through pregame warm-ups and just, shorts and a T-shirt, but we don't know yet if he's going to play.
Yeah, and talking to Coach A, it's so interesting to hear how young he is. I mean, this is a young man who's got a lot of potential and growth that we're already seeing how good he is. Mm-hmm. I really hope tonight, Jesse, that we get to see him. We've wanted to see him live. I hope we get to. But again, non-region game, you just don't know. Sometimes it's a good idea to hold these guys out and keep them, you kind of want to help them out more than themselves because they want to be out on the field.
Let's get to some keys to the game, especially for Oak Ridge. They're 3-3. They've not won back-to-back games all season, so you kind of get a taste of their up-and-down season that they've had in 2022. They've had some quarterback changes. They rolled out a new quarterback a week or so ago. What's key when you have a new guy back there under center, behind center nowadays, going up against a program like Greenville to just kind of manage his emotions and let him make the other players on his team make the plays?
Yeah, they got to get the ball to their playmakers, and tonight they're playing a Greenville defense that's giving up 7 points a game total, 0 points in 4 league/region games. Stout defense. They got to establish their run game. They've got some good backs. They're physical up front. And then short passing game to get the quarterback's confidence going. And then let's see those tight ends up the middle again. We saw it a lot in the Clinton game. They did a really good job of getting their H-backs and tight ends up the seam. We got to see that again tonight to open up this defense a little bit from Greenville so they can get that running game going and then drop a few passes here and there.
You got a key to winning the game for Greenville? I mean, they're doing everything so well right now.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, just continue to play well defensively, and they're giving their offense short fields. The offense is doing a good job as well running the football. It's a very physical team as well in Greenville. Don't turn the ball over tonight in Blankenship, and early on, get ahead. You don't want to get this crowd in the game. Let's go keep them silent. So the quicker you can get something good going on your side as a visitor here in Blankenship Field as Greenville, don't have any turnovers, don't have any big special teams plays. Milk that clock. Have something good happen for you early and quiet this crowd.
I'm excited for this game tonight. Greenville at Oak Ridge for the first time since 1991. We don't get to see Greenville very often in these parts. They're about an hour and a half away. Usually the only time we see them is if they happen to play Central early on or it's a playoff game against Anderson County in the second or third round. So really excited for this game tonight. We're going to get to our first break. When we come back, Kevin and I will talk about this game a little bit more. We'll have an interview with Greenville head football coach Eddie Spradlin, and we'll start breaking down everything you need to know in Week 8. So stick with us tonight on 5 Star Live, presented by East Tennessee's Finest Sport.
Knox Siding and Windows is a complete exterior home improvement company that can help you with all your exterior needs. Visit us today at 5618 North Broadway.
When you shop at Elliott's, your journey is our purpose.
If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? about me, everything is on me, gon' back it up.
East Tennessee, the foothills of the Smokies, beautiful lakes, Friday night heroes, and one red light small towns with more life than any big city, where orange and white is displayed. Yeah, the one and only home of the Tennessee Vols, but also the home of the 134th Air Refueling Wing Volunteers. You might catch us in the beautiful skies of East Tennessee, flying the time-tested, irreplaceable, world-traveling, aerial refueling KC-135. Yeah, you heard that right. We refuel other aircraft while traveling the world at over 30,000 feet and 500 miles an hour. The amazing thing is, that's really not the 134th Air Refueling Wing's greatest strength. Our greatest strength is our airmen, our warriors, who have answered our nation's call. Guardians of freedom and justice, not only in our beautiful hills, but worldwide. They are our sentries and avengers, defending our country with their lives. They are the best of us, wingmen, leaders, and warriors, and you best believe they will never falter or fail. Flying, fighting, and winning, they are American Airmen and Tennessee Air National Guardsmen. So what are you waiting for? It's time to join the hometown team. Visit GoANG.com or call 1-800-TO-GO-ANG.
Welcome back into 5 Star Live, presented by East Tennessee Spine and Sport. Jesse Smithy, Kevin Smith. As we continue to break down this Greenville at Oak Ridge matchup tonight, Greenville 7-0, playing extremely well. Oak Ridge 3-3, trying to get on track before the postseason, getting some players healthier and healthier as we approach the final week of the regular season. Crazy to believe that we're already in week 8.
Yeah, and we talked about it last week a little bit. We're seeing senior nights, homecomings. It's really getting down to nitty-gritty. We're starting to feel a little bit of the fall weather. These guys are playing for seeding and home playoff games, which is really important. People don't understand how nice it is to be at home and in front of your fans. And I tell you, this is a really interesting matchup, Jesse, for the mere fact that we talked about it earlier. Greenville's done a good job of playing teams to get themselves ready for the playoffs. Oak Ridge has as well. They sat there with Beard and Farragut early on. This is the game to me, Jesse, is getting some guys back healthy, getting some confidence back in this group. Because they have Carnes, Dobbins Bennett, another out-of-region opponent that will get them ready to go, and Campbell County left on their schedule. This is the time right now that they've got to find a way to get guys healthy, get some continuity, and get some confidence in this group.
Yeah, and when you're a first-year coach like Scott Cummings is out here at Oak Ridge, there's always got to be that one game that you win that you weren't supposed to, that kind of gets everybody to buy in and build off of. I'm not saying it happens tonight, but if it does, I mean, that's a huge feather in his cap.
Absolutely. It'll be a huge win tonight, especially when we're looking at Oak Ridge's defense. Has only given up 19 points a game. It's very respectable. They're going against an offense in Greenville that's a 38-point-a-game offense, and they've done that against good teams as well. And this is an Oak Ridge offense that has to find a way to put some points on the board. They've got to get that passing game going like we talked about earlier.
One of the things I'll look for tonight out of Greenville is their running game. You know, they lost a player last year. A next-level player ended up going to Georgetown University, the Hoyas, not the Georgetown College up in Kentucky. And they're serviceable, statistically speaking, at Greenville, and I'm just looking for somebody to kind of wow me tonight out of that backfield. But we talked with Eddie Spradlin, the head football coach at Greenville, about what he likes about his football team at this point in the season. Here's our interview with Eddie Spradlin. Eddie, for this program, first time in Oak Ridge in quite some time, what are you looking forward to most tonight out of this trip to Blankenship?
You know, being a Knoxville guy, you know, you're growing up Oak Ridge football. That's what, you know, it was big time, you know, all the time. You know, late 90s, that was the team to beat. So, you know, for me personally, it's special just to come here and play. You know, both my parents work in Oak Ridge, you know, when I was growing up, so I spent a ton of time here. So it's, a special place to come and play high school football. So, my kids are excited for that opportunity for sure.
Talking about your kids, what do you like most about what they're doing as we creep into October now?
The big thing is just how hard they're playing. We're playing hard, playing physical. We've been in 2 dang dog fights, and my kids just kept on fighting. Stuff's not went our way at times, but, they found a way to keep on playing and to find a way to come out on top.
Defense has pitched 4 shutouts. Is there a special element to that group this year, or is it just
it's a close group, knit group, but big thing is just how hard they're playing. We've gave up some stuff along the way, but they kept on. Against Dobbins Bennett, we had some goal line stands that were big. Those are kids just. We tell them all the time, just give us a chance to keep on playing if something bad happens, and that's what they've been doing on defense. It's not went our way at times, but they keep on playing hard, and it's, giving us the opportunity to keep people out of the end zone.
This Oak Ridge team that you guys faced tonight has been kind of hard to read. I know injuries have played a large part in the ups and downs of their seasons. What have y'all seen out of them on tape that you kind of broke down on film this week?
Obviously their skilled kids are as good as anybody around. They got 3 or 4 or 5 guys at Division I talent. So, it'll be a big challenge for us defensively going against those guys with that type of ability. So we're looking forward to the challenge.
Welcome back into 5 Star Live. Appreciate Eddie Spradlin, head football coach at Greenville, for that interview. Known Eddie for quite some time. Really happy for his success up at Greenville, and they're definitely going to be able to wow some people tonight here at Oak Ridge. Now joined by Eric Thomas of East Tennessee Spine and Sport. Eric, thanks so much for coming down to the show tonight.
Absolutely. Looking forward tonight. Good fall weather. Hoping to see some fireworks tonight. Big game. Undefeated Greenville here against
Yeah.
So hopefully see a good game tonight.
What I like about Spine and Sport is, no matter where we go, there's always a representative from Spine and Sport that comes and joins us. You work here in Oak Ridge, right? How long have you been here, and tell us about what you do?
I do work here in Oak Ridge, just a couple miles here from Blankenship. As he said, we do. We like to be involved in the community. We've got 6 locations kind of spread out throughout Knox County, even into Lenore City, and here in Anderson County. So I've been a physical therapist for on about a decade now.
Oh, wow.
Started my career in Knoxville working different clinics, and then kind of found a home with Spine and Sport when we opened the Oak Ridge office in 2016.
You told me before we came live that you grew up in Knoxville, you graduated from Bearden. Were you one of those kids that got hurt so much that you were like, I might as well be a physical therapist, I know everything I need to know? Or how did you find your way into physical therapy?
That's actually, thankfully, was not one of those kids.
Good, yeah.
I had never actually had physical therapy until I became a physical therapist.
Oh, wow.
I was lucky enough to avoid sports injuries. I played baseball. I was a catcher, so
okay.
I was thankfully able to avoid knee injuries. I know I'm maybe not down the road, but at least so far I've done pretty well. I started thinking I was going to go to med school. Really loved the idea of being in medicine, being in healthcare, and I realized I would get to spend a little bit more one-on-one time with patients being a physical therapist. I had a great advisor in college that pushed me in that direction when I voiced my concerns about one-on-one time with patients, and she kind of, I say to this day that she's the one who made me a physical therapist.
Yeah.
Encouraged me to take some internships in undergrad, and here I am a decade later.
Well, I've never been shy about voicing my appreciation for Spine and Sport for helping me get over an injury a few summers ago, and I've actually heard really good things about the Oak Ridge. Didn't you guys win an award? Or
recently won Best Physical Therapy in Anderson County.
Wow.
So yeah, we also like to say we're the best looking clinic. So all sorts of awards rolling around.
Yep, that's a good one to have. That's two really good ones to have. And I messaged Bobby before the show and let him know that I wanted to ask you about collarbone injuries. We got a player tonight, Elijah Rogers from Oak Ridge, suffered a broken collarbone. I've been around long enough to see athletes sustain a broken collarbone. They try to come back too early. They re-fracture it, re-break it. Take us through that process of what Elijah Rogers probably went through.
Well, the idea, the first part of any kind of rehab is obviously given an injury like that time to heal. Mm-hmm. There's that fine line between starting rehab or even return to sport too soon, mm-hmm.
to
avoid any kind of re-injury. And I think you guys, earlier in the show hit the nail on the head of you got to look long term, and that's tough for anyone to do, myself included. It's tough to have patience to to wait, but especially for a high school kid, or in his case as a senior year, wanting to be back on the field, wanting to support his team. But that's the big thing that I push to the athletes that I see, is making sure that you're not going too soon. All of us are looking out for their long-term benefit, and especially if there's thoughts of further athletic competition, whether it's college or even just a weekend warrior, being able to long-term do all the things that you want to do without having any limitations.
So what are you looking at? Maybe like a 6 or 8 week recovery process, depending on how severe it is?
Depending on how severe, you're typically looking at 4 to 6 weeks of probably immobility, just to make sure that the bone heals, and then starting as early as you can, getting back to mobility activities, strengthening activities, and then return to function.
Yeah. So, Elijah Rogers, we're going to see if he gives it a go tonight. For his sake, maybe hopefully he does not, or at least they put him in a position where he's not delivering or sustaining much impact. But, he's a young man who got hurt there in week 1, missed a lot of time last year, so that impatience factor is there. He missed a lot of time as a junior, wants to kind of make up for it his senior year, and now he's having to sit out again. So it'd be intriguing tonight to see if Scott Cummings gives him a go. Eric, just last thing with you. It's not just athletes that you guys serve. I noticed in my time there that, there were some athletes that came in, but there were people that were 60. There were kids that were 15. You guys pretty much help everybody, and it's not just, again, an athlete-specific business.
Absolutely. I think right now my current caseload has everywhere from an 8-year-old to a 95-year-old.
Wow.
We while we may be spine and sport, we absolutely want to take care of the whole community, whether it's the weekend warrior that just wants to be able to run a 5K with the family at the Turkey Trot 5K, or whether it's someone who's wanting to be a little bit more athletic, or an athletic population. We want to make sure that regardless of what an injury is or what you're feeling, that we get you back to whatever functional activity is for you. Again, whether it's I want to be able to walk up the steps without pain, or I want to be able to, burn a defensive back and catch a touchdown pass.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate what you guys do for us and for high school sports. Love having East Tennessee Spine and Sport as our presenting sponsor of 5 Star Live. Eric, thanks so much coming out in your hometown or your current place of occupation.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having us, guys.
Yep. That's Eric Thomas, East Tennessee Spine and Sport. Check them out online if you're needing to schedule an appointment or be seen. They have 6 area locations, as Eric said earlier in the segment. We're going to catch another break. We come back, we're going to look to last night's game. We got film from both games, McMinn County's win and Anderson County's as well. And we'll also preview Week 8 action tonight. Stick with us right here on 5 Star Live.
Knox Siding and Windows is a complete exterior home improvement company that can help you with all your exterior needs. Visit us today at 5618 North Broadway.
When you shop at Elliott's, your journey is our purpose.
If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Told her if it's all me, everything is on me, gon' back it up.
East Tennessee, the foothills of the Smokies, beautiful lakes, Friday night heroes, and one red light small towns with more life than any big city, where orange and white is displayed. Yeah, the one and only home of the Tennessee Vols, but also the home of the 134th Air Refueling Wing Volunteers. You might catch us in the beautiful skies of East Tennessee, flying the time-tested, irreplaceable, world-traveling, aerial refueling KC-135. Yeah, you heard that right. We refuel other aircraft while traveling the world at over 30,000 feet. and 500 miles an hour. The amazing thing is, that's really not the 134th Air Refueling Wing's greatest strength. Our greatest strength is our airmen, our warriors, who have answered our nation's call. Guardians of freedom and justice, not only in our beautiful hills, but worldwide. They are our sentries and avengers, defending our country with their lives. They are the best of us, wingmen, leaders, and warriors. And you best believe they will never falter or fail. Flying, fighting, and winning. They are American Airmen and Tennessee Air National Guardsmen. So what are you waiting for? It's time to join the hometown team. Visit GoANG.com or call 1-800-TO-GO-ANG.
Welcome back into 5 Star Live, presented by East Tennessee Spine and Sport. Jesse Smithy along with Kevin Smith out here at historic Blankenship Field in Oak Ridge with the Wildcats. 3-3 will take on 7-0 Greenville tonight at 7:30. I don't like that 7:30 kick, man. We have got to get to somebody out here. I got to find out who are the go-to people out here at Oak Ridge. Get them to flip it to 7 o'clock.
We may just have to start another social media campaign like we did last year and see if we can get some things changed.
We got things changed in Knox County and a few other places, but people over in Anderson County still starting at 7:30 unless it was a Rivalry Thursday game last night. Speaking of Rivalry Thursday in Week 8 was Anderson County taking on Gibbs. Anderson County undefeated. They survived that game at Elizabethton against Elizabethton that we did 5 Star Live from a couple of weeks ago. Won that game in overtime and exercised a few demons. Still saw some old patterns there that were a little disconcerting, but the last 2 weeks, their offense has played great. Their defense has played great. Special teams, everything. They came out last night in a must-win game against Gibbs to go ahead and get that 1 seed and did what they were supposed to do.
Yeah, and really, to me, the bright spot is Walker Martinez really starting to get going again last night. Very efficient in the passing game, 362 yards and 5 touchdowns. Thought he did a good job not turning the ball over. I know he had 1 interception. And to me, the big plays are starting to come. They need those chunk, explosive plays, and they got one last night with a 63-yard touchdown pass because they've had Nick Mogg really doing a good job running the football with Gavin Noe out. We knew they could run the football, but you need those explosive plays to get take the top off the defense.
And that's one of the things we didn't see in that first half against Elizabethton. They just weren't able to get their passing game going. Last 2 weeks, that hasn't been the case. And Gibbs cut it to 20-17 there late in the first half. And going, okay, are we going to get a game here? Anderson County, 2 touchdown passes in the last 4 minutes of the half. Come out, Nick Moog has a touchdown in the third quarter, another touchdown pass by Walker Martinez, and it's running clock.
Well, and I think another thing that really stood out to me was Eli Braden. I mean, we kind of know about, a lot of people know about Bryson Valley and how he's a long, very athletic receiver, starting to pick up some interest. Is to see another guy step up for them. They need multiple playmakers out there. I will say this, and we've talked about this, Tony Lambert, the new defense coordinator there, has done a phenomenal job with that defense. They kind of got back on track the last couple of weeks. I know something he's going to be concerned about is the 2 big chunk plays that they gave up in the passing game, a 63-yarder and a 50-yard touchdown pass from Gibbs. Something that, sometimes as a coordinator, during the game you don't like it, but as a film session you get an opportunity to talk to your guys and, hey, guys, I got your ear now. It's time for us to stop giving up these big plays. They got to figure that out before the playoffs come so that they make a team earn it.
They have not lost a region game since 2016. Now, certainly that streak doesn't match up to what Maryville did for a 22-year period, but for Anderson County, it's still a big point of pride for them, for that program. And they have one more region game left. That's at Scott, a winless Scott team. Anderson County is going to win that. And they, once again, for the 6th year in a row, go into the 4A playoffs with a 1 seed. They have a bye next week, so they can kind of rest up a little bit, get Gavin Noe some rest. He's been coming back and playing. He's still not 100%. You can tell that in the way he runs, but he still had 100 yards rushing last night, playing some defense. So when you have that, I'm not going to call it a streak of futility in the postseason because they've done well. They've done so many wins and gotten to certain rounds of the playoffs, but what do you feel like is going to be the ultimate factor for Anderson County to get over the hump in the playoffs this year?
Health, first and foremost. I mean, we've seen that the last couple of years with them. They have lost key players at very unopportune times. This is a team that just has to stay healthy, and we've seen it. They've got the playmakers. They're playing great defense. They've played a really good schedule to get them ready for this run. This is a team that believes that they can make a run, and they exercised the demon a couple of weeks ago that they really needed to get off their back. This is a team that's ready to go. It's number one. Got to stay healthy and get your guys back that are banged up currently.
Yeah, I looked at the playoff projections last night. It looks like they'll probably play Seymour in the first round of the playoffs. And Seymour, they're not going to upset Anderson County. But this team that's coming onto the field behind us in all white, Greenville, undefeated, looks like a collision course again between Anderson County and Greenville.
Let's not keep Elizabethton's a good football. Again, another championship program. They're going to have something to say about this 4A run.
Yeah, I mean, they played Anderson County close, obviously, so it looks like the same kind of matchups they're going to get in that second and third round, and I look forward to it. Also, last night, McMinn County, one of the better teams in 5A that maybe not a lot of people talk about, ran roughshod over Sweetwater. Now, Sweetwater did not have their star running back, Malik Arnett, last night. It's a young man who averages well over 100 yards a game. This was a 3A team against a 5A team, a non-region game, obviously, so kudos to Sweetwater for sitting their guys, even though it was kind of some hype in that area around this football game. But McMinn County is a program, when you look on my recruiting list, they have a kicker who's a next-level guy. They have a defensive lineman, a linebacker who are next-level guys. Their quarterback, Jaden Miller, of the last 3 years got hurt. They moved him to running back, and he's ripping off 150, 200-yard games, and they moved an athlete, Caden Hester, to quarterback, and he's playing well. And this is just kind of a sneaky good McMinn County team. Bo Cagle's been down there for quite some time as head coach, and he's got a winner on his hands.
Yeah, and again, we'll give a lot of credit to Sweetwater for even playing this football game. That's a tough matchup for a 3A school against a power like McMinn County. And, hey, we talk about explosive plays early, Jesse. We saw it again last night. A game can get away from you in a hurry when they're ripping off runs of 66 and 80-yard touchdown runs, and then the defense getting 2 interceptions. That's how games get away from you quickly. They did a good job of taking care of business last night.
Yeah, McMinn County, I believe, in Region 4, they'll play somebody out of this Region 3, 5A, an Oak Ridge or a Powell or a Carnes. I think Oak Ridge might have gone down there last year in the first round with a really bad record, and McMinn County, I think, knocked them off. So don't sleep on that McMinn County team. I really like number 9, Jaden Miller. He's the quarterback that I mentioned. He got hurt, dinged up, and they're like, well, we can't use you back there throwing the football, but you're not going to get hurt any worse if you're running the football. So go ahead and transition that athlete, plug him in at running back, and it's been just kind of like a cure-all for McMinn County. That didn't happen very often.
No, and it's funny you say. I mean, I actually got to see that happen personally. A young man named Thomas Welch, who's a quarterback at Brentwood High School, ended up playing left tackle for Vanderbilt, and in the NFL for years, tore his labrum playing quarterback, threw him at tight end. Next thing you know, he's playing in the NFL, and so it worked out. Sometimes injuries are a good thing. Yep. You don't want to necessarily say that, but sometimes it changes the course of your career, and it can be a good thing.
Let's look ahead to tonight. Week 8, hard to believe, is Week 8 of the high school football season. Campbell County at Powell. Campbell County got a big win on TV last week, beat Clinton, pretty much assured them a spot in the playoffs. Powell trying to lock up a 1 seed in Region 3 5A once again, and this could be a sneaky fun matchup.
Yeah, to me, the only way that Campbell County has a chance tonight is they got to keep up. They got to score a lot of points, and they're going to have to get the ball in their quarterback's hands quick. This is a pass rush for Powell that's continued to get better and better and show up week to week. And this is a Campbell County team who has the potential to do that. I think we're going to see a lot of screens tonight, keep them off balance, quick throws, get the ball in the quarterback's hands, and this could be one of those 45, 44 type games. They're going to have to score.
South Doyle at Central probably doesn't have the magnitude that it's had in recent years when Clark Duncan was there, and it seemed like South Doyle and Central were meeting in the 3rd or 4th round of the playoffs. But Central, though, getting some momentum going. They've had a lot of key injuries to key players. They have moved Frank Johnson, their running back, to quarterback, and he's still ripping off 200-yard rushing games, but I got the stats last week. He was like 4 passing touchdowns. I mean, this kid is just, okay, we're going to plug an athlete back there, much like South Doyle used to do with Elijah Young, and just let him go to work.
Smart move if you really think about it. They've struggled the last couple of years of throwing the football and being a run-heavy team. At the end of the day, if you're going to struggle throwing the ball as much as they are, put your best player there at quarterback, your running back, and have the extra player. Anytime quarterback runs, we always talk about it. It's an extra hat. It's hard for the defense to prepare for and have that extra tackler. It makes the defense have to get off blocks and make plays. This is a guy in Frank Johnson who's very tough to tackle anyways, much less have an extra blocker.
He throws it well. I mean, we saw in the rivalry Thursday game against Gibbs that they played up at Carson Newman. They ran a trick play pass with him, and he throws it pretty far, 30, 40, 50 yards, and just an absolute athlete back there. And we'll see if he can get the win tonight against South Doyle. Halls and Carnes may not excite you looking at it on paper because Halls has one win. You look at Halls' record, though, they have been very competitive against a lot of good teams, could easily be sitting here at 4-3 as much as they are. I think 1-6 or 1-7, whatever the case may be. So Carnes, their last 3 games all been decided by like 3 or 4 points or fewer. I'm not going to be surprised if they get into another tight one again tonight with Halls.
Yeah, and Halls is going to have to play really great defense tonight. I mean, this offense for Carnes is clicking on all levels, and we all know about Deshaun Bishop. They have other guys that are contributing. To me, though, tonight, I want to see if Carnes can take a next step defensively. In their last 3 contests, they've given up 33, 37, and 38 points. You cannot outscore everybody in the playoffs. You're going to have to play some defense and get some timely stops and turnovers. I need to see that tonight. If I'm Carnes and I'm trying to make that run and I'm trying to get ready for the playoffs, this defense has got to start making some plays.
Yeah, you just keep putting the pressure and the pressure and the pressure on Deshaun Bishop, and eventually by the end of the season, he's like, all right, guys, I'm kind of worn out now, so give the guy a break tonight. We'll see if Carnes can do that. Final game that we're going to preview, Catholic at Lipscomb. Lipscomb came to Knoxville last year. We were 5-star live there. It was 44-0. Lipscomb probably had 2 of its top players out in that game. Are they on a different level this year?
Yeah, they're on a whole different level. And the defense has no weakness. They're big up front, a very athletic front 7, maybe the best core of linebackers I've seen in a long time. I'm going to mention a couple of those guys here in a minute. And their back end, they don't just knock the ball down, Jesse. They intercept it and take them back for touchdowns. They scoop and score. This is a defense that scores points. This is a Lipscomb team who's been undefeated over the last 2 years since unveiling their new turf field. Haven't lost there yet.
I try to tell people this, that the Webbs of the world, CAKs, Grace Christians, those private schools here that are in Division II AA with Lipscomb, they're at a huge disadvantage. Just facilities-wise, resources-wise. You've been there at Lipscomb. Just can you paint a picture as to what it's like? I mean, they got it going. I mean, they have everything that they need.
Yeah, they got a lot of coaches that are coach at a high level, indoor facility, jumbotrons. I mean, they got it all. I mean, this is a program that even has the academic help that's needed, and they got a lot of momentum, man. It's just it's been incredible to watch. This is a Catholic team, though, man. I've been reading this, Jesse, this week, and I want to make sure. I've been seeing this as David versus Goliath, and I hear it. Lipscomb is loaded, and we'll talk about some of those players. But Catholic's got some players, too, man. It's a proud pro. It's a championship program as well. This is a team that needs to come out tonight and show their athletes and the guys they have. I mean, we talked about Trevor Duncan. Everybody here in Knoxville knows about him. They got some young guys that are really good football players. They're going to be Power 5 guys.
Well, Catholic stood toe-to-toe with the McCauley, the 3-time defending champion in Division II AAA. There at about late third quarter, they had a couple turnovers there in the fourth that were returned for scores. So Catholic needs that kind of start. Just get on the board maybe early, see if you can kind of hang around into the third quarter and see what happens. But it's going to be interesting to see if they kind of wasted all their energy and motion in that comeback win last week over Father Ryan.
Well, I sure hope not. They're going to need it tonight. Hey, a couple guys, listen, if you're a UT fan, this is a game you want to tune into. Lipscomb has a couple of guys on their board. Edwin Spillman's a linebacker for next year. His brother is the wide receiver who's already committed. A guy to keep your eye on is number 15, a linebacker for Lipscomb, Hunter High. He's actually a UT baseball commitment. Okay. You'll like watching him on the football field. Chauncey Gooden is another offensive lineman that UT is heavily involved with as a sophomore. This is a loaded group. And I'm not going to mention Caleb Beasley, DB. He's one of the top rated players in the country. UT is right there in the mix. And the best player of all that nobody really talks about as a Power 5 guy is Brian Longwell, the linebacker. This is one of the best linebacking crews I've seen in a long time. Catholic has their hands full, but Catholic has players too. They have the goods to make this a game.
That's Kevin Smith. I'm Jesse Smith. We're going to take our last break. When we come back, we're going to get all to y'all's picks out there on social media, players that you think are going to have a big night in Week 8. Kevin and I are going to make our picks, and we might have a special guest predictor up on set here, so stick with us tonight on 5-Star Live.
East Tennessee, the foothills of the Smokies, beautiful lakes, Friday night heroes, and one red light small towns with more life than any big city. Where orange and white is displayed. Yeah, the one and only home of the Tennessee Vols, but also the home of the 134th Air Refueling Wing Volunteers. You might catch us in the beautiful skies of East Tennessee, flying the time-tested, irreplaceable, world-traveling, aerial refueling KC-135. Yeah, you heard that right. We refuel other aircraft while traveling the world at over 30,000 feet and 500 miles an hour. The amazing thing is, that's really not the 134th Air Refueling Wing's greatest strength. Our greatest strength is our airmen, our warriors, who have answered our nation's call. Guardians of freedom and justice, not only in our beautiful hills, but worldwide. They are our sentries and avengers, defending our country with their lives. They are the best of us, wingmen, leaders, and warriors, and you best believe they will never falter or fail. Flying, fighting, and winning, they are American Airmen and Tennessee Air National Guardsmen. So what are you waiting for? It's time to join the hometown team. Visit goang.com or call 1-800-TO-GO-ANG.
All right, welcome back to 5-Star Live. Jared, am I even in the shot? Am I good? Okay. I got my son Cameron in here. He's our guest picker on 5-Star Live tonight. We're going to get to our predictions in just a moment. But, Kevin, each and every week on social media, I put it out there and said, hey, who's the player for us to watch tonight in Week 8 of the high school football season? Of course, we get some crazy answers, but we got a few decent ones in there. We got number 15 for Carnes. I know we like a lot. Linebacker Desmond Lockett is a 6'5" linebacker tonight. We talked about their defense in the last segment about just really coming out and making a statement against Halls and kind of getting going. Denero Watts is an athlete for Catholic. We talked about that in the last segment as well, and Catholic trying to play up the David versus Goliath situation, so we'll see how Denero does tonight. Luke Johnson was nominated, Farragut quarterback. I don't even think they played tonight, so we've had some interesting ones. Then somebody says me, but they don't even have like the real name on there, so some interesting ones tonight. Anybody in this game behind us that you're hopeful? Any individual? Got Dabbs, a receiver, if he plays, maybe?
Yeah, I'd love to see him play tonight. I hope to see Rogers as well from Oak Ridge, but I'm also interested in something we didn't touch on earlier, this Greenville offensive line. I want to see them work tonight. They've done a good job. We talked about they had a really nice player in Mason last year, not kind of more committee this year. I want to see this offensive line tonight put in work.
I got one last nominee on Twitter, Jesse Massengill of Powell. He didn't put a position. It might be an offensive lineman or something. I don't know. I haven't heard of Jesse. That's sorry because we share the same name. But anyway, all right, let's get to our Waffle House predictions. I got my guest picker, my son Cameron, up here. He's a huge Titans fan, if you couldn't notice that on your own. Kevin, let's start tonight. Campbell County at Powell is a game that we talked about in the last segment. If Powell wins, they win the 1 seed in the region. If they don't, then it kind of gets a little scenario breakups, tiebreakers type of things. Who do you like in this game?
Campbell County's a feel-good story this year. They've done a great job. Love that coaching staff up there. I just think Powell's a little too much pass rush tonight for Campbell County. I like Powell 35-21 with that defense stepping up.
All right, Cameron, who do you like in this game?
I like Powell, but they had a lot of downfall losing some of their star players for last season. So I'm going to still stick with Powell.
You're going to stick with Powell, even though they lost Walter Nolan and some of those guys? Okay, Cameron likes Powell. I like Powell as well. I picked them on 5-star preps. Hampton and Gatlinburg-Pittman. This is a Hampton team that I believe is undefeated. 1A school, Gatlinburg-Pittman, a 3A school, having a great season as well. Your thoughts on that one, Kevin?
I actually have Hampton winning this game in a close one, 24-21. They've played a pretty good schedule for a 1A football team, and they're going to be athletic. I like them in a close one.
Yeah, I like Gatlinburg-Pittman in this game. I like their skill players with Carlos Orr. Whitman Whaley is one of my favorite players in East Tennessee to watch. A great wide receiver, defensive back. They got a quarterback who's extremely confident. They're the bigger school. They're supposed to win this game. I like Gatlinburg-Pittman. Cameron, you got any thoughts on this one?
I don't know the teams.
You don't know these teams?
I know one. I don't know what the teams are for the game.
Okay. So you like going to Gatlinburg?
Yeah.
Okay, so your pick is Gatlinburg.
No. I don't even know the teams.
Okay. Hampton or Gatlinburg-Pittman? Who you like?
I don't even know any players.
I'll put you with Gatlinburg. Carter at Morristown West, non-region game here. Carter took a tough one last week to Anderson County, and they go on the road to Morristown, who plays really good defense, has a good running back.
Yeah, I think there's going to be another tough week for Carter. I think Mo West has the defense to shut them down, and I like Mo West 35-24.
I'm going to choose Carter.
Any reason why?
I don't know.
I got Carter winning this one as well. For some reason, I think offensively they're going to put a lot of pressure on Morristown West's defensive backs, and I don't know if they've faced an offense like that this year. So I think it's going to be a fun game to watch tonight. I like Carter. South Doyle Central, again, a matchup we've gotten in the past that's been really fun to watch. What are your thoughts tonight?
I think Central's going to run the football really effectively tonight. I think South Doyle's going to have a really tough time shutting them down and slowing them down. I like Carter actually big in this football game, 35-14.
I'll go Central.
Central. I got Central winning as well. Frank Johnson the fourth. We've had him up on set here on 5 Star Live. His move to quarterback's going to be fun to watch, but he also still gets it done in the run game. Last game, this game that's going on behind us tonight, Greenville at Oak Ridge. Greenville undefeated. Oak Ridge trying to find the right recipe to get their season going here in October.
I think Greenville's going to be able to control the football offensively with this offensive line, slow down Oak Ridge just enough defensively. I like Greenville playing up to win on the road tonight, 28-17 in a really good football game.
Yeah, so many factors going on right now. Greenville, will they play a Jate Dabbs? Oak Ridge, will they play Elijah Rogers? I'm going to go with Greenville as well in a tight football game. They've had a number of tight football games, and they haven't blown out everybody. The Dobbins-Bennett game comes to mind. I like Greenville to get the win on the road. Cameron, you got any thoughts?
I feel like Greenville's going to win. I've been watching a lot of their warm-ups and seeing a lot of talent coming out of these.
It's a good take right there.
Nice.
Hey, don't go to journalism school. There's no future in that. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining us tonight on 5 Star Live, presented by East Tennessee Spine and Sport. We might come back with a halftime report, so Jared gives me the nod, so he's going to stick around. So catch us at halftime. We're going to update scores from around the area. Some big games tonight. For Kevin Smith, I'm Jesse Smithy. We'll see you guys at the half.
You're watching 5 Star Live, presented by East Tennessee Spine and Sport. Tennessee's #1 high school football show. Live on location from the biggest game of the week. Live interviews from coaches and players, along with highlights, predictions, and up-to-date information about this week's biggest games. Your hosts, Jesse Smithy and Kevin Smith, with decades of experience covering and coaching high school sports, along with a 5-star preps team, will break down region outlooks and what's to come for your favorite prep football teams and top players. Now, get ready for the most comprehensive high school football coverage in Tennessee on 5 Star Live.
Are you ready for some football?
We're ready for some football, baby.